everyone, and welcome to YABasic podcast. I am one of your hosts, Dani.
And I am your other host, Dudley.
How cool is that both of our names start with D?
Oh yeah, we're like the double D of YA books.
That is definitely what we're going to go by, the D&D of...
Oh my god, D&D. Yes, there's our merch right there.
It just works so well. I feel like we're made to do this, Dudley.
Absolutely. I feel like it's always been kind of on the horizon for us because we have such similar interests, but also such interesting conversations about books that I'm really excited to actually be recording them.
Yeah, I'm really excited to share our ridiculous conversations. It's going to be great.
Yeah, so this podcast, we called it YABasic. It's kind of based off YA fantasy and fiction. The young adult genre is a really interesting genre that we both read. So we thought it'd be a great place to kind of talk about what we enjoy and kind of have a discussion with hopefully an audience and kind of grow from there.
Yeah, we should probably introduce ourselves. So, like I said, my name is Dani. I'm 22 years old. I have been an avid YA reader since I was about 14 years old, I'd say. My favourite books are Anything and Everything by Cassandra Clare, absolutely. Throne of Glass.
That's a good selection. So my name is Dudley. I am 23. I have also been a fan of YA books, probably about the same amount of time, really. My top favourites also include Cassandra Clare, because that's how me and Dani both kind of connected over books. And I really love A Series of Unfortunate Events, which isn't really YA, and Hunger Games is kind of, I know it's kind of an older, but I loved it a lot as a teenager, so I kind of have a lot of fond memories of it.
It's an oldie but a goldie.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're all Team Finnick in the end. Well, we are here anyway.
Yeah, we stand Finnick in this house. I think my third favourite is going to have to be Percy Jackson.
Oh, really Percy Jackson. Yeah, that's a good one.
That's also not really YA, but...
Okay, it kind of becomes YA with Heroes of Olympus.
Definitely. Yeah, okay, yeah, Heroes of Olympus definitely counts as YA, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
So it counts. It's all good.
Do we want to do a rundown of what we're reading at the moment? That might be good.
Yeah, sure. You go first.
Okay, so I've been labouring through the last book of the Stalking Jack the Ripper series by Kerry Maniscalco.
Oh my god.
And it's so good. So I'm on the last one, which is Hunting the Devil, I think.
Captain.
And I've just had the wedding.
Oh!
Yeah, anyone who's read it will know the kind of drama that's just ensued. So I had a break because I had a lot of life stuff going on, but I'm back on it now and absolutely adoring it. And I love Thomas Creswell so much.
I can't believe it took you so long to start reading that book series.
It's like literally the most me book series in the world.
When I started reading it, I was like, this was made for Dudley. I need to read it as soon as possible.
Well, yeah, you sent me a message like you need to read them, and I was like, okay. And then I started reading them, and I was like, why didn't I read them the minute you sent me that message? Because it's like it's a YA romance, but in Victorian London. And it's so like feminist and progressive and diverse, and it's I wish I'd had them as a teenager. I find that a lot with YA now. I'm like, I wish I'd had this growing up.
We say we had them as a teenager, but when did these books come out? Like, well, definitely not when we were teenagers, but
no.
in our 20s.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah. But I think we could probably appreciate them more now that we've kind of been through the teenage years. And I think a lot of kind of millennial and Gen Z really relate to YA because it kind of feels like later and later we are coming to our coming of age. It's not really a teenagehood anymore. It's kind of adult life.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely.
What about you? What are you reading at the moment?
I'm currently reading Blood and Honey. Which is the sequel to Serpent and Dove. I cannot remember the author's name for the life of me.
I can picture the covers because they're beautiful.
The cover's absolutely beautiful. It's like snake type thing on the front, obviously, because it's serpent and dove. Um, oh, I can't remember the Maurin. Shelby Maurin, I want to say her name is. I could be butchering that. I do
Yeah.
apologise, Shelby, if I'm butchering your name. But it is a fantastic book. Um, I first found it when I got it in my fairy loot October last year. And as soon as I got it, that was the witch one that I told you about, Dudley.
Yeah, that's
That's
why I
when
literally
I,
why I subscribed.
yes, that's when I messaged Deadly and was like, I just got the most amazing book box. You need to subscribe to this like book subscription service. You need it. And yeah, that's when I got that book and it was beautiful and the book was so good. It's like the epitome of YA right now. It's great. And it's about witches. And if you like witches, especially in October when it's all like spooky season, it's definitely a great book to pick up in the
Oh,
autumn. Or,
I need to get on it. I've seen so many people raving about them,
yes,
and I need to just get on it. I think because again, we both have Fairy Loot, which is kind of our monthly book connection. When we both get the box, we're like, oh my god.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I just have this kind of pile of books that I need to start soldiering my way through. But that is on the list because it
I'm
looks really
excited. So
good.
yes, it's fantastic. I definitely recommend it. There's a brilliant duo friendship as well. So if you like really good female friendships, then the book is absolutely for you. Um,
Wow.
yeah, it's great. I love it. Um, so maybe we should explain how we met to everyone as well, because I don't really think people
Yes, I
like to
guess.
talk about it.
We kind of met in the most nerdy way possible, which I think is very on brand for us. We met at Comic Con. So we probably should have mentioned this earlier, but we are both cosplayers. So when we're not nerding out over books, we're nerding out over costumes and movies and games and all those things because we kind of love everything nerd culture.
All the most nerdy things are the best things in life, in my opinion.
Absolutely, wouldn't want to live any other way. Oh gosh, what were you wearing?
I was wearing some ratchet looking storm with the
Oh my
worst
gosh, I
fit.
remember.
Yeah. Or like underboob Missandei. It would have been one of those two for LSCC.
Yes. I mean, LSCC, I think I wore my red Cruella and my Maleficent that I made in like 2 days, and the horns made out of duct tape.
And the rest was
Gosh.
history.
And the rest was history. It's kind of, I think Comic Con is a great place to meet like minded people, even if you just have one interest, and then you kind of add each other or whatever, and it just, you realize you have a lot in common.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely would not be the person that I am if I hadn't been going to Comic Con and been like immersed in all of um, the excitement and the
Yeah.
nerd culture.
Absolutely. I think I've met some of the most amazing people at Comic Con.
Yes.
Um,
Don't
just
get me wrong,
through.
some of the worst, but also some of the best. It's like that part in Mean Girls. Is it Mean Girls? Where she
Yes.
says, "Is it Mean Girls?" I feel like I've just quoted the wrong thing.
What's the quote? And I'll.
Yes, it's the bit where Janice they're all sat outside and she's like, "The worst people, worst people in school and the best," and then it's her and
Yes. That
yeah,
literally is, and it's. I think that's probably why I love it so much. Is
and like you think you're talking to someone who's like as unaccomplished in life as you are, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm a doctor," and you're like, "Oh, like you're dressed as Spider-Man," and they're like, "Yeah, but I'm also like a doctor," and you're like, "Wow, okay, I do admin."
But yeah, I definitely think that's part of the fun, and also it kind of links into our love of books and things because you can kind of experience so many fandoms by just wearing a costume from something you love, and then if you see someone else in that costume, it's like instant connection. You already have something in common.
Yeah, definitely. I remember one of the first Comic Cons I went to was LFCC. That was my first. That would have been one of the first ones I went to on my own
Yeah.
without parental supervision in
Oh,
London. And then I went there and I went to Yalk briefly, and I
oh,
was like, "Oh my god, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me, like books and Comic-Con, and I can cosplay. Like, what is going on? And I think Cassandra Clare was there that year, and I didn't realise.
Oh my goodness.
And I remember getting home and being like, how did I not meet like the woman who changed my life?
I feel like that happens, especially and like I've never been to Yelk. It's one of the things I really want to go to. I've been to so many Comic Cons. I mostly go to MCM in London, um, but we were planning to go to Yelk this year before the world decided to implode.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, in case you're listening to this way in the future, we are recording this in 2020. I think that kind of is
Yeah.
everything you need to know.
Amid the
Um,
COVID-19 pandemic.
gosh,
Um,
yeah.
we did have this
So
planned for many months before the pandemic. Just saying, we didn't just think, oh, there's a pandemic, we're stuck inside, let's do a podcast. It has been in the making for a while.
yes, for ages, and we've only now really got round to sorting out the logistics and just starting it. So hopefully it'll
Yeah.
be a fun run because
Yes.
it's we've got some really good stuff to discuss. Some really interesting stuff because there's a lot of things we share opinions on a lot of books, but we also don't. There's a lot of things we have different opinions on,
Yeah.
and we have
Deadly
different
thinks,
taste in book boyfriends. So
yeah, Deadly is very logical, and I'm very obsessed with hot people, and that blinds my judgment sometimes.
yes, absolutely. Whereas I'm very story driven,
Yeah.
um, and you're like, but he's hot, and I'm like, Danny, no, he's Satan himself.
Literally. I tell you, so Deadly. I don't think you haven't read the Shadow and Bone series yet, have you?
No, not yet.
So there's a character in that who's Satan, like you said, Satan himself. But like he's so hot, I just think, you know what? Just let's simp over him. And I know that when you're going to be like, absolutely not.
I'm
Like,
gonna judge you so hard, and I love that. That's kind of our relationship.
you really will.
Um, but yeah, we definitely we met through Comic Con, and we were kind of almost like friends of friends, and we were in the same friendship circle.
Yes.
And then I think how did we discover we both love Shadowhunters?
Was it when the show came out?
I think it was. I think I posted something about the show, or you did.
Shall I have a look on my messenger?
Oh my god,
We'll
yeah.
keep talking about. I'll
Yeah,
try and
we
find
will.
it.
You could scroll. So basically, if you don't know, Shadowhunters is a YA book series by Cassandra Clare, and me and Dani both absolutely adore it. It shaped a lot of who we are because of the kind of the topics it deals with and the really diverse characters. It's now like a huge, almost multiverse of books with kind of different timelines and characters and stories. Um, and when the show came out, I'm pretty sure we started kind of talking about it and realized we both loved it. And Dani used to do a thing called Shadow Reacts.
Yeah, Shadow Reacts was yeah, it must have been when the show came out actually, because I used to send Shadow Reacts on Snapchat to one of my friends, Keely, and she's very rubbish on social media. And she will be listening to this podcast when it comes out. So I'm just adding you now, Keely. You are terrible at replying to my messages. So when me and Deadly started talking, I would send them to her over Messenger.
Oh my
And
god,
it
I
just
used to get
became a
like
thing.
a notification. It was like 59 new photos from Dani, and I'd be like, "Oh, it's Shadow Reacts. Let's go."
I would always give you a warning that I was sending
Yes, you
them.
would. You'd be like incoming. Um, and so basically, these were a collection of photos of your reactions to what was happening during the episode.
Now there's technology where you can actually FaceTime while watching Netflix, which would have been helpful
Oh my god, that would have
and
been so
saved me a lot of
helpful.
phone memory.
I love Shadow Reacts though. So basically, Dani used to react with all these incredible facial expressions because the TV series, whilst we love and adore it because that cast has my heart, um, was not the most faithful to the books. Uh,
Nope. But it
certain
wasn't the
characters
worst.
did die. Certain characters did die who didn't die. I mean, it wasn't as bad as the film. And
We're going to
we
offend
have
a lot of
a
people by saying that.
we have a whole episode planned on kind of book to film or movie or TV show adaptations, and kind of talking about good ones, bad ones, ones that need a redo.
Cough, cough, Aragon.
Oh my god, Aragon. If you guys are part of the Aragon fan club, stand up, because we are the leaders of the Aragon army.
Just letting
Um,
you know, we are going to have a whole episode on Aragon.
oh, completely. Aragon
It
deserves so much more love.
it is underrated, and the film is, by no exaggeration, the worst book to film adaptation I've ever seen in my
Ever,
entire life.
ever. Like, in the history of humanity, I think it is. And I've had so many, because we had an Instagram story thing about Aragon a little while ago. And so many people messaged me like, "Oh, I watched the Aragon film and just never bothered with the books." And I'm like, "See, this is why we need good book to film adaptations, because otherwise people just won't read these incredible books."
To be honest, while we're talking about Aragon and how we got into like meeting each other and how we got into reading books, I honestly do think that half the reason I am the nerd I am today is because my primary school teacher, Miss Hadley, Miss Hadley, if you ever come across this podcast, I am sorry. You've corrupted my life and made me who I am today. She sat us down and she would come to. She was like, I'm pretty sure she was a witch. Like she was a practicing witch. I'm sure. She would come to school in like witchy clothing, and like every day. Not every day, maybe like if we're having a film day or something, she would always bring in like The Lord of the Rings or Aragon. And I remember she put on Aragon and we all loved it so much. We used to like play Aragon. So some of us would play the dragons and some of us would play the dragon riders, and we'd like ride
Oh
around on
my
each other's backs
god.
and stuff. And like I am convinced that I am the reason I am today because of her, because I'm
That
obsessed
is
with like fantasy.
incredible.
Yeah.
What a great teacher. She sounds
She
amazing.
she was so cool. She used to dress up and on like Halloween, and she'd come in like all these costumes, and she'd bring us all costumes, and she was the coolest. Like she read us
Wow.
How to Train Your Dragon and everything. She
Oh
was the
my
best
gosh.
person, but I'm sure that is the reason that I really like stuff
Yeah.
like this.
That's such a cool teacher.
Yeah, she was the
Oh,
best.
How to Train Your Dragon. I love those books. That's actually one case where I prefer the film to the books.
You know what?
Um,
Same.
it's kind of very rare, but I think I love what they did with the source material and changed it so much that it's really good.
Absolutely, I agree.
See,
Those
that's
books.
I'm a big. I know Danny isn't so much of an audiobook fan, but I am a huge audiobook head. And I had the How to Train Your Dragon audiobooks because they were read by David Tennant
Oh my god.
in his Scottish accent.
I need them.
Um, yeah, they are fantastic. That is one of the I think we are going to do an episode on kind of good and bad audiobook adaptations, because I have a lot of opinions on that.
I mean, I didn't know that David Tennant was the voice of it, so that's completely convinced me that I need to have him. I wonder what the Aragon one's like. Now I'm thinking about it. What do
Oh
who do
my
you think of
god.
Aragon? That'd
I wonder
be
if I can.
nuts.
Wait. Let me see if I can quickly look it up, because there are some voices that go so well with audiobooks, like the original His Dark Materials one was
Yeah.
actually, which I had as a child, was actually narrated by Philip Pullman.
Ooh,
So by the author, which is fantastic. I think the newer ones are Michael Sheen, which is still great, Michael Sheen. And I've had a few Neil Gaiman ones which are narrated by Neil Gaiman,
that's cool.
which has been really great. I think I had the Graveyard Book narrated by Neil Gaiman, and that was really cool.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm literally, I'm scrolling through our messages still.
Oh my
I don't
god.
think I'm going to be able to get to the top. We talk too much. I've literally just got to Shadow Reacts. That's as far as I've got.
Oh my
How bad
god.
is that? That's
But
awful.
well, we talk a lot. And especially about books. Kind of a very long segue from Shadowhunters, but we we tend to just read the Shadowhunters books at the same time now, and then have a kind of big debrief at the end,
Yes.
which I guess we could do on recording now,
Yeah, we could.
um, which would probably be us incoherently screaming.
I feel like we'd
Um,
have to have a discussion before. because we
Yeah,
just
we
won't be
would,
able to.
because we'd just be like, oh my god, this happened. Oh my god, this happened.
Because looking at our
Um,
conversation, then it was like, oh my god, Haley, and oh my god, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Like it just makes no sense. So we would definitely have to talk before, but we will absolutely record a discussion.
yeah, I think, well, yeah, because I think all of it, like, if you've read the most recent one with Cordelia, it would just be like, oh my god, love Cordelia, hate Grace.
Yeah.
Um, Whereas,
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
and I think actually Cassie's books are ones that have got so much better with time.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
her old ones haven't aged well. um, but like
Because
the quality of the story now is so fantastic.
yes, absolutely. Because like obviously I'm on a bit of I don't know if you're also on there, Dudley, but I'm on like book talk at the minute. Book
Oh yes,
TikTok.
I see a few. They pop up probably because I follow you and they fly onto my for you.
Yeah, and so many people like absolutely drag the Mortal Instruments books because they started off as
I was a
Hermione
fanfic.
as Ron and is it Ron and Ginny fan
Ron
fiction?
and Ginny fic, yeah. I think that
Jesus
was the
Christ.
because someone messaged me on Instagram and they were like, "Oh, you know that started as this, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And Cassie's talked about it, and she said like she read it as a teenager, and like we all do weird stuff. I mean,
Abs-
and I'm also like, you read the books, you know, a big like point of it is that they think they're brother and sister and then aren't. But it does
I'm
make me
sorry.
laugh.
It is funny. It is funny. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but
I'm kind of hesitant to say I'm a Shadowhunters fan now because it's so everyone's like, what?
I'm not hesitant because if you read most authors' first books and
Oh, true.
you know where they come from, there's not like you grow as a person and you make mistakes, and it's not her
I
fault
think
that
that's the
hers were
thing, and
published.
and she owns it and talks about it. I think this is the
Yeah,
good thing, and especially now that her books are so kind of influential, and she really strives to keep them inclusive and open-minded, and kind of moves with the times of kind of how society views relationships and views kind of sexuality, gender identity, race issues,
yeah,
um, and I think it's almost like a great book series for any minority.
yeah. I think so as well. She's definitely gotten a lot better over the years at making her books more accessible and inclusive,
Absolutely,
and I
like
think
I
that
think,
that's admirable.
yeah, especially the her latest series, not Chain of Gold, which is fantastic anyway, but the last trilogy. What was it? Lady Midnight, etc.
Yeah, the
Um,
Dark
Dark
Artifices.
Artifices. Yes, they were so fantastic and so well written, and the characters were so fleshed out and interesting with actual kind of issues and great diversity. And I think that's probably why we both connect to them.
Yeah, I agree.
And
Yeah,
also, everyone's hot.
yeah, everyone is hot. Um, yeah, Cass has she has her faults, but everyone does.
Yeah, definitely. And I
Sarah has
often
hers.
find the people who are like, oh, you like Santa Claire, are like Sarah J. Maas fans, and I'm like,
She's not perfect.
no.
I do enjoy her books a
Oh, me
lot.
too.
Like
Yeah,
I'll buy
but
every single one.
there are some
But
issues with her too.
of course, there's issues with everyone. There's issues with most book characters.
Most
There's like
artists, and yeah,
exactly. People have different opinions, and that's fine. But we can't drag everyone for not having the same opinion as us.
yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, it's very easy to do.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely. I think we try and be very open and like to have discussions with people about why they like certain things. Because especially with Sarah J. Maas, we both adore the Throne of Glass series.
yeah,
I think it's up there with one of my top three series.
yeah, same.
It's so well written. I love the characters, and then a lot of people prefer A Court of Thorns and Roses, which I don't like as much. Like I still appreciate it,
Yeah,
um, but we're not
it's
kind
kind
of
of Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did like the books, and I will literally read all of them. I don't. It doesn't matter to me. I will buy every single book that she brings out now because
Yeah.
I've started it and I need to finish. I need to know the end of the story, and I do love like a lot of the characters in it, so I definitely want to read it for them.
Yeah,
Um,
completely.
but it is odd, especially this weekend when I was doing some filming for a project that I'm in, to do with Sarah J. Maas's books, and the people there are massive fans of ACOTAR. And to hear them talk about ACOTAR like we talk about Throne of Glass is really amusing. Like it's really strange and different. Um, like the way they
Yeah.
analyze it and the way they're like, oh, this character, and this is definitely gonna like be connected and this and the other. And I'm like, this is how we talk about
Yeah, like how we talk
like
about
Throne of
Iliad and
Glass.
Rowan, and yeah, literally.
Yeah.
But I guess that's because that story captured us more, maybe.
Yeah, it's just different. Like it's just different people like different things.
Yeah,
Like
it's more of a fantasy epic than a romance, I would say, which is probably what we. I don't know.
Throne of
It's but
Glass. Yeah.
yeah, but I'm looking forward to the new. That's actually this segues into our new releases that we're looking forward to.
Yes.
I am looking forward to the new book from Sarah J. Maas.
Oh,
We
so am
we saw
I.
we yeah, Nesta is like my favorite character.
Nesta's my favorite character. No cap. A lot of that's very controversial because a lot of people don't like Nesta. Um, but
Yeah,
I
I think
really do love her. I think she's very complex, and
yeah, I think that's why we again why we both love her because she's not a typical heroine.
no, she's not. I
Um,
wouldn't even say she's a heroine.
no, and I'm really excited to see a book about her to see kind of
Yeah,
dive more into her psychological state at the moment. Because if you've read the books, you know it's very interesting where she is at the moment.
yeah. And Cassian is my absolute favorite character in the whole of Avatar. He's my baby. I love him. So to get a book that has like his point of view in, I will lose my mind. I can't wait.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
so
definitely
excited.
going to have discussions about it because I think it's going to be really. I'm excited to have a new point of view from new characters we know, but their point of view.
Yes. Because someone I was with this weekend actually made a really good point. In Akatar, A Court of Thorn and Roses, um, the protagonist is called Feyre, and the whole book is written from her point of view. But every time they go to a different character's point of view, for example, Reese, um,
Yeah.
they will do it from like third person, so it won't be the same. It's not the same as Feyre. So as Feyre,
Oh,
it'd be I did this, I did that, but it would be like Rhysand did this, Rhysand. If it's his point of like, it's really weird. And
yeah, that's true.
I never noticed that when I read it. But then when someone I was with this weekend was talking about it, they were like, "Oh yeah, did you not notice?" And I was like, "No, not really." And now I'm wondering if I even read the book because how could I not have noticed that?
I mean, I
So
think I picked that up, but I didn't. I maybe I just thought Reese was talking about himself in third person all the time
see,
because
that
he
would make
seems.
sense. That would
um,
make sense.
so yeah, I'm interested to see how they tackle it with Nestor and Cassian
Yeah,
because that'll
same
be
actually.
interesting. It'll be a very different tone of book, I think.
Oh, I think she wanted to. So when I posted that thing on my story that you replied to,
Yeah,
about Sarah J. Maas did a live where she spoke about all of the upcoming books that she's writing. So um, the next Akatar book, um, and Court of Silver Flames that's coming up, and then the next Crescent City book that's coming up. She was saying
I'm
that she
excited for that.
wanted to market Akatar as being an adult book, which I probably would have agreed with more than YA. And from
Yeah,
my
me
personal
too.
experience with YA and reading that book, she said she wanted to market it as adult, but the publishers thought that it would do better as YA. Now, personally, yeah, I think that that was probably a good move from a money making point of view from the publisher, but I sort of wish they had stuck with Sarah's wishes and gone and made it adult because I think it needed to be adult. If I'm being
Yeah,
honest,
completely.
it did.
It's very graphic, and I know they have a warning on the back,
But
but it
who reads
is.
those?
Yeah, exactly. I think I saw in that Instagram thing. She said she wanted it to market as new adult,
Yes.
So like a kind of a midway point between adult and YA,
Yeah.
which I think
Which,
really
yeah,
would work.
absolutely. I think that's definitely sort of a genre that I would definitely read a lot of books from.
Well, that's kind of the genre we want. Um,
That's exactly what we want. Yeah.
because I definitely find adult air quotes books very kind of information heavy or very it's about the character but it's not really about story. um I think YA is such a broad topic because you could have YA romance, YA mystery, YA fantasy,
Yeah.
X, like anything. So I think it does need kind of breaking up into more topics, and especially with the popularity of Akatar, there's a lot more kind of raunchy YA flooding the
Yes.
markets because that did so well.
Sex sells, so that was
Yeah,
obviously always going to be a good thing.
yeah,
But
it's like a fairy 50 Shades.
to be honest, if I'm yeah, I think that for example, Crescent City, they've marketed that as an adult book, but I think that could also fall within new adult
Yeah,
because I don't think
I
it is adult.
no, it's not. It doesn't read like an adult book.
It doesn't read like an adult book, but I didn't want it to read like an adult book. I wanted
No,
it to be
the
like
whole yeah, it's
ACOTAR
Sarah J.
or
Maas
Throne of Glass.
exactly.
Yeah, I wanted it to be like that, but and it's to be honest, Crescent City is might be one of my favourites she's ever written.
Yeah,
It might nearly surpass Throne of Glass. Uh,
it's
no, not
really
quite.
good.
I
Yeah,
I'm excited for the rest of them.
I'm waiting for it as a whole series so I can comment on it. But the first book, I think we both found it kind of well. I found it very slow burn at the start,
Yeah,
but then once I got into it, the kind of groundwork that she'd done in the
yeah.
start really paid off. This kind
I
of world
feel
building.
like I feel like this is exactly what she wanted to do with ACOTAR, and this is what she could have done with it
Yes,
if they'd
yeah,
have
yeah,
let
yeah,
her. And I think that the characters like Bryce and Danica are just they are like where I'm at in my life now. Like that is just I think that they speak to me so much because I feel like that
yeah.
with about my friends and my family, and I feel like that with like you, Deadly, and then our FBI. I
Hmm.
feel like we are represented very well in that sort of
Yes.
book. Like we're at that part in our lives, and I just I'm excited to see what she
Yeah,
does
I
there.
think it definitely really speaks to that kind of mid 20s um, age group where
Midlife
it's kind
crisis.
of yeah, like we're not teenagers anymore, but
Yeah,
we don't feel like full-fledged adults, and it's kind of that kind of identity struggle.
yeah,
Whilst also, and obviously when you throw a big fantasy element in there, it makes it's kind of it gives me the same feeling I had when I read Percy Jackson when I was a teenager.
yeah,
Is
yeah.
that I can
Same.
relate to these characters? Yeah.
But I definitely think there's a gap in the market there for publishers to open up a new genre for people like us because I don't think we needed it before now because
Mm,
we grew up reading the likes of Harry Potter and the Hunger Games and Divergent and Percy Jackson, like you said. And
yeah.
now we're too old for that, but we're not quite old enough
Dan Brown.
for Dan Brown, yeah. And we don't want that. We want something in between. We want the same. We want the fun and the excitement of Percy Jackson and
Yeah.
everything and like Throne of Glass, but we want the like things we can relate
With
to
like adult
now.
issues and things that we are affected by, and especially I
Yeah,
think in the current political, social, everything climate, we still want to read stories about heroes overcoming things.
yeah.
And that's
I
kind of what that did.
I think as well, Cassandra Clare is doing that with her Red Scrolls of Magic series. I think
Yes.
that's similar because obviously Magnus and Alec are older now. They're
Yeah.
Magnus isn't, but Alec's mid 20s. Um, they've got kids. They're in that part of their lives where they don't live at home. They're on their own. They're independent. And I also have a new book. I have a book by Veronica Roth called The
Hmm.
Chosen Ones, and I think that's also an adult. Like
Oh,
I'd
is
say that
it?
would be new adult, yeah, because I don't think it's an adult book, but I would say
Mm.
it falls into that new adult genre. And that's about superheroes, and
Oh,
it's a bit
really?
grittier and dark. Yeah, I haven't read that
What's
one yet,
that?
but
What's it called?
The Chosen Ones.
Oh, well, yeah. Because she
Um,
wrote
Divergent.
Divergent, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Um, so I had that one. That's just one I found on in Waterstones one day, and I thought, oh god, yeah, this is a really exciting genre that I've not read a lot about, and that's what the vibes I was getting from like Crescent City, and I think Lee Bardugo's written one as well called I think Ninth House. I could be wrong because I also
Yeah,
haven't
I've
read
heard
that
about
book,
that.
but I think that's also fits into that genre as well. And they've come out over the last couple of years, and I've never really heard about books like that before. So I definitely think that that's something that we're going to start seeing, and we definitely
Yeah,
need that.
it's definitely a growing genre, and I'm really excited to see where it goes because it's kind of this brave new world of, oh, we can still have adults who still have adventures. They don't have to be kind of preteen or like a coming of age story. It could be a figuring out what adulthood is story,
Yeah,
which is really refreshing and interesting.
yeah. Um, are there any other books
Oh yeah,
coming out that you're
this was about
excited
new
for?
releases. Oh gosh. Oh, let's have a think.
I have
Um,
The Betrayals on my pre-order. I pre-ordered this a while ago, which
okay,
sounds good. It's coming out soon. I think it's coming out next month, November, by
nice.
Bridget Collins. And Bridget Collins also wrote another book, um, The Binding. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Oh yes, I have heard of that.
That did really well. I haven't read that book either yet, but the cover is stunning, and I have it. Um, but it sounds really good. I ordered it because it's a signed exclusive,
I mean,
obviously.
yes, I love we and something you will learn about us is we love us an exclusive, and I love a sprayed edge.
Yes.
Um, that is my weakness. For the Red Scrolls of Magic, we each ordered like how many editions? Two, three.
Two. We needed to. No, we bought three and then we
We
cancelled
bought
one.
three and then cancelled one because we realised we couldn't have three editions of the same book because that is
Yeah.
madness. There's a new. I really love historic materials,
Oh, yeah.
and so the Book of Dust is kind of the continuation and prequel sequel to that. But Philip Pullman's also doing a series of like mini books about like little Lyra adventures.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, they look really cute. I got a Waterstones email about it like literally this week.
Oh,
And
that's
he did it.
exciting.
He did a few in the past. One called Up in the North, one called Lyra's Oxford, and I think it's that similar kind of vibe,
Oh, I like
which
that.
is really great because I love his world that he's built in his Dark Materials is such a fascinating um, kind of world to explore. So I'm really excited to get more in that.
Yeah.
Because yeah, you haven't read them, but you watched the new TV series.
Yeah, I haven't read them. I have them, but I haven't read them. I might read them soon, actually. I feel like it's a good
They're
book to read at Christmas.
Yeah, they. I was literally about to say they're a good Christmas read because it's so snowy and kind of cozy but scary and religion and all that kind of stuff.
We're so in sync. See, I knew you were going to say it was a Christmas book. That's why I said it first.
Yeah, literally. I'm so excited for the next season of His Dark Materials because it's been done so well so far.
So am I. I really loved it. And I was messaging you, Deadly. I was like, oh my God. Every Sunday we'd message each other and be like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Lyra
Oh,
has done this. But you obviously did know what was going to
yeah.
happen, but I didn't. And I quite like being ignorant to what's going to happen.
Yeah, I
But
think I would love to experience it with like how you are without having read the books because but actually they've done enough with the series where it's still really faithful to the books. There's some things they've changed, but they have done enough to surprise anyone who's read the books,
oh, that's good.
but without deviating. Um, so a lot of the timelines in the books are spread out, but they've put them all together. It's very once you read the books, you'll understand.
Yes.
It's very very good, and I think the casting is fantastic. And yeah, I just don't have enough good things to say about it
I
because
will
I have loved it.
I will add them to my Christmas reading list. Maybe we could do
Absolutely.
a feature on it when I've read them.
Yeah, well, I if when you read them, I'll reread them because it's been a while.
Cute.
And I love those books. I did my final major project in college on those books.
Wow.
And I designed a collection inspired by Yorick Bernison, The Armored Bear.
Oh wow, that's
Um,
so good.
yeah, because I study fashion when I was. So yeah, I did like dresses dyed that look like the Northern Lights and fur coats and armor pieces and stuff. Um, so I've loved those
Practically
books for a very long
cosplay.
time. Yeah, literally. And then I was like, why don't I just start cosplaying?
And that's where it began.
Literally. I actually, that was where I modeled for my final photo shoot as my kind of cosplay name, Don't Judge Me. And I wore like a big white wig and did a whole photo shoot with like snow and stuff. Um, and that was kind of
Amazing.
a starting point, which was really cool.
That's really cool. Are there any books that you've read this year that you like specifically enjoyed? Just
Oh, that's a
thinking.
good one. So I read the Cruel Prince series this year.
You read them
Um,
this year?
yeah, I waited
Oh
till the
my
last book came out.
god! Deadly, what the heck?
I know. There was so much hype, and I waited till the last book came out. And there's now a new book coming out as well. The King of
Yeah, from
Elfhame.
Carden, isn't it Carden's point
Yeah,
of view?
Harden's perspective. Um,
Yay!
and I really enjoyed them. I thought they were fantastic. I love Holly Black. We've met Holly Black.
We have met Holly Black. I
We
was
we went to
flexing
a.
that this weekend. I was like, I've met
Were
Holly
you?
Black. Yeah. They're like, have you? Is there anyone you've not met? I was like, I've only met two people.
Literally Cassandra Clare and Holly Black, and it was on the same day.
Literally.
Yeah, so we went to a book signing in Birmingham. We were the only two in cosplay there,
Original.
because we're
We
those people.
we wouldn't be now. Oh, we wouldn't be now.
Yeah, book cosplay has taken off so much now.
Within like 2 years, like we didn't go that long ago, and
No, but
now
now
how
everyone
can
does it.
I know it's trendsetters?
But yeah, so I've met Cassie twice, and she remembered me because I cried so much the first time that security had to ask me to leave. Um, and she was like, "You're the one the security had to ask to leave." I was like, "Yes, that's me. My claim to fame."
That was a funny
But
day because Deadly was crying so much that
oh
I
my
was stood there
god.
with 7 books in my arms, crying as well because they were crying and I was just could not cope because it was so emotional and the staff were crying and it was just too much.
Everyone cried, and then Cassie got up and hugged me, and oh my gosh, like, and Holly Black was so wonderful to talk to,
Yes, she was.
uh, and they both took so much time for us because we were in costume, and they chatted to us. Yeah, it was just lovely. You talked about Tinder.
Yeah, me and Cassandra Clare talked about Tinder and how hard it is finding a boyfriend being above average height for a woman. So that was fun. Um,
Yeah, but I
for
mean that's because
context,
Izzy's yeah.
for context, it was that I was very thankful to her because she writes Isabel as being a tall girl, and she's I think it's directly taken from the book that she's always been taller than the boys, and instead of like letting herself feel self conscious about that, she embraced it, and that's what made me confident in being taller than most of the boys. So I was explaining that to her, and she was like, "Oh, you can't have much trouble." And I was like, "Cass, Tinder is a bitch. It's hard. It's rough out there." And she was like, "To be honest, my friend was on Tinder, and she said that she went on a date, and this guy turned up, and he was like 4 foot." And I was like, "Don't do this to me. That's never happened to me, but I'm terrified this is going to happen." And it was a whole thing. But she was very supportive in my dating life, so thank you, Cass.
You should put on your Tinder approved by Cassandra Clare.
Cassandra Clare gave me dating advice.
I love that. I was so yeah, and then I talked to Holly Black about growing up in Devon and reading Spiderwick Chronicles, and Spiderwick Chronicles was such a important book series to me. And then she was like, "Oh yeah, a lot of the lore in Spiderwick Chronicles was inspired by Devon folklore and Cornish folklore." Um, and she kind of said that her and Cass actually go on writing retreats to Devon, which is why I think Jem's book in the New Shadow, Jem's house in the New Shadowhunters is in Devon, and all those things. Um, yeah, and I was like, oh my god, yeah, it was just such an inspiring day.
Yeah, it was a great day. Um, sorry, what we were talking about
We were
books
talking
we've
about
read
books we
this
read
year that
this
we
year.
like.
Yeah. What about you? Any fantastic books?
Um, ah,
I mean, we read what Crescent City we read this year.
oh yes, Crescent City I loved, but I also read Aurora Burning,
Oh,
which
I
is the
need to get
second
on
one.
that. I need to read
You
Aurora Rising.
you really do. So the second book to Aurora Rising, which is one of my okay. You know what? Earlier I couldn't think of a third book series that is my favorite of ever. Aurora Rising is one of my favorite books to have ever been written. It is a phenomenal series, and the second book blew me away. And I'm putting this out here now for everyone to hear, including you, Deadly, before you even read them. There's two characters in the second book who need to be together, and it's going to be a very hit and miss. I don't know whether they're going to be together or not. They could either kill one of them, or they
Oh,
could just never put them together, or they could be together. There's a lot of scenarios that could happen in this book, but they need to be together. And yeah, and that's what made me love it so much because these two characters are just it's the most epic enemies to lovers
oh, that's
romance.
the best trope.
It would be insane if they got together. I would just die. It would be so great because they're just so like you could cut the sexual tension with a knife. Like it's so
Oh,
good. They like
I
have that
need to
much
read it.
banter. It is
I've
so
got
good.
Aurora Rising. I bought it after you were raving about the second book, so I think
Yeah.
that will be my next read. After we do need to read Red Scrolls
Oh yes, we do.
at some point. Yeah, so
Big
I've
fan.
context. I've been trying to sort out moving flats and things, but now I've kind of semi got that sorted. So
Woo!
yeah, so hopefully reading can commence again.
Have you
Which
got
is
a
what
lot
I've
of room
been.
for books in your new place?
I'm gonna have to. So it's quite small, but I'm gonna try and get some nice bookshelves.
Yeah.
Those who know Dani know she has a beautiful rainbow organized bookshelf, and
Yes.
I want to kind of have a really swanky bookshelf as well because why not?
Yeah, I literally got mine off Facebook Marketplace and then I painted it and sanded it all myself. But
Nice.
obviously, only if you have room to do that. That was
Yeah. I
the
mean,
design
I've
was
got like
very
a little skinny IKEA one, which I've got a lot of books on, but I have more books than can fit on it. And I have a series of unfortunate events shelf with all the series and then all the prequels and all my props relating to a series of unfortunate events. So that takes up a whole thing.
Your series of unfortunate events shrine takes priority over all new books.
Yes, absolutely. And that again, we will do a adaptations episode, but the Netflix adaptation of series of unfortunate events is up there as well with one of my favorite. Because you haven't read series, have you?
No, it's just never been something that I've wanted to read.
I mean,
Which
it's kind of not your
no,
normal brand of. I think you would enjoy the series.
yeah, I'll probably
Um,
watch it. Maybe.
yeah,
I think for me, I've always liked fantasy and
yeah,
like excite. Like I don't know what it is like, whether it's magic or like different like beings and so I don't know. Like I've always
hmm
like liked that. Like I've always like, for example, I had a massive Twilight phase. Like who didn't?
and yeah, love
But I
Twilight.
love vampires. Oh, that's another one I liked this year. Read
Yes, you're
Vampire
obsessed.
Academy. Vampire Academy. Oh my god, what a slept on series. Underrated. That is just like the
You
most perfect.
literally stan vampire series so
Yeah, it's
much.
really underrated. I really think you would like it if you read it.
I'm sure I would. I adore vampires, and I just am not ready to go down that slippery slope again.
It's so good. It's worth it. It just is, and I didn't think I would like it. That's another adaptation that's terrible. The film of that is
Oh,
borderline offensive.
is
It's
that the one
awful.
Dom's in?
Yes, Dom is in that. If you don't know who we're talking about, Dom,
Dominic
Dom
Sherwood. Yeah,
Sherwood. Yeah,
yeah.
Dominic Sherwood, who plays Jason Shadowhunters, is in the Vampire Academy film.
He's
But
cornering the YA market.
it really is a fantastic book series. Rose is just a fantastic protagonist. She's brilliant.
Okay,
But
when I eventually get through my pile of books,
yeah, oh, I didn't
will that ever
expect.
happen?
I just picked it up because I thought, because we, in our book club, me
Oh
and
yeah.
Dudley and our other friend Jessica have a quarantine book club. And we read a book about vampires.
Oh
And
god.
after I read that, I mean, it wasn't very good, but
No.
no offense, Deadly, because Deadly
No,
chose
it
it, but
wasn't. I chose it, and I was ashamed to have chosen it.
it wasn't very good. But then I thought, God, I really want to read a book about vampires. So I thought, what books on my shelf do I have about vampires? And I've had Vampire Academy on my shelf for years. Like, I think I bought it, you know, when you buy like 3 for 2 from Waterstones
Oh yeah.
and you can't find a third book that you want to read, so you just pick up a random book.
Yeah.
I think I just did that. And I literally did a massive clear out of all my books that I knew I would never ever read again or I was just never going to read. And that nearly went in there. And I thought, no, I'm not going to get rid of it. But then I picked it up. I thought, you know what? I think it's time. I think it's time to read it. And I read it and I thought, I just read it as a one off because I wanted a bit of a vampire, like a vampire hit. And
Yeah.
then I was addicted. And I hadn't even got halfway through and I thought, shit, I'm going to have to order the second book. So I had to order the second book, and then like I'd finished that, and I was halfway through the second book, and I thought, oh my god, I need to order the third, and then it was a downhill battle from there. I was stuck, and then I ended up ordering all 6 book. I think there's 6, or is there 7?
I feel
Six or
like
seven
this.
books, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god, and then I was finished within like 2 weeks,
Oh my
and it
god.
was it was so worth it. That was like literally half my lockdown. I was reading Vampire Academy, and it was great. It's such a great YA book series, like the perfect mix of like badass and romance. It's great.
Oh. See, imagine if you'd thrown it away or donated it.
I know. It
Imagine.
was fate.
Oh,
It was fate for me to read that
honestly.
book. It was
Yeah,
so
so
good.
you touched on it there, but we had a quarantine book club. And we read, so the first book we read was Crescent City, which was, again, as we say, fantastic. It took us a while to read it because it is a slow burn.
It's nearly 1,000 pages long.
It's very thick, like thick with two C's.
And I think
Um,
the mistake I made with that was I just finished Chain of Gold and then I thought, you know
oh,
what?
yeah.
800-page book wasn't enough for me. Next, Crescent City, 900 pages, here we go. And that's why it took me ages to read as well, I think. I'd worn
Yeah.
myself out with Chain of Gold.
And then I mean, I think I read Chain of Gold, and then I must have read Songbird and Snakes at some point around then.
I still haven't
Um,
finished that.
I really enjoyed Songbird and Snakes. I know a lot of people didn't, and a lot of people did. I just really love any Hunger Games lore that we can get. Um, and I thought it was really interesting, and I hope they continue it because they left it in a way that could be. But we'll see. And yeah, so then the second book we read was Wilder Girls,
Yes.
which neither of us really enjoyed. Um,
No, it had
eh,
potential to be really good.
it's such a good premise, and the cover was beautiful. Um,
I'm
it
still trying to think
just
what vibes. It gave me like Maze Runner vibes.
Maze Runner is kind of like it had from when I read the synopsis, it was very like kind of like an organic X-Men, but all female, like mutating to have cool powers,
Yeah, it wasn't.
but
Out of
also
all the
kind
books,
of
out of all the things in the world, I don't think I would have said X Men.
no,
Not
well
that was.
not
I know
whilst
that wasn't you that said that, but the
yeah,
publishers should not have marketed that as being like
no.
X Men.
And it was kind of like okay, and then also we were reading it during quarantine, and the whole book is about quarantine. Um, and then the third book we read was Deathless Girls. No, yeah, was it Deathless Girls?
Yeah, Deathless Girls.
Yeah, which was it's partly about race issues, and that was when Black Lives Matter was happening. So we definitely chose all these topical
Yeah,
issues. But Deathless Girls, I had such high hopes for because, like you, I love a vampire. And so, if you don't know, Deathless Girls, the premise is that they basically said to a load of authors, give female characters in traditional literature more of a background, more of an interesting story, flesh them out. And this was supposed to be a book about the Brides of Dracula, And I love Dracula. I've read it multiple times, but the book just didn't hit where we wanted it to, and it was very
No, it was
off
kind
what
of
we thought it was
like
going to be.
I didn't like it for many a reason, but it was very kind of like I don't know. I don't. I just didn't like. If someone asked
Yeah,
me what happened in it, I don't think I could tell you because I don't
there
know.
there wasn't much substance, and also for a kind of a book from a feminist initiative, it wasn't very uplifting to
Feminist.
women. Yeah,
No, no, it wasn't. It was very degrading actually.
it was very degrading, kind of pitted women against each other a lot.
Yes,
Um,
it did.
so yeah, we didn't enjoy that one, and now we've got another book which I haven't even started reading yet.
No, we do need
Um,
to sort that out. Song of Achilles.
yeah, which I've heard fantastic things about. It's by Madeline Miller, who wrote Circe, which I really enjoyed. Um, that was kind of
Yes,
the book of the summer last year, Circe.
I know. Yeah,
Um,
when I went to Waterstones to buy it, the woman was like, "Oh, yes, this is very good. Have you read her other stuff?" And I was like, "No, I'm only buying it because everyone else is buying it, and I feel like I'm missing out." But I paid like £10 for this Waterstones exclusive. Shouldn't have. So such a. It's literally the same book with like a 40-page interview, which I know I won't read. And then I went to Tesco and found it for £4, and I was like, "Oh wow,
oh my gosh,
scammed myself there." But
that's where Waterstones get us, is with the exclusives.
oh my god, they could literally say exclusive and it have the tiniest bit of glitter on it, and I'd still pay £2 extra.
Literally.
But that's
And
like
I think
what did the
this
Hunger Games one have? That
the
bookmark, the built-in bookmark,
bookmark.
and that's it.
Yeah.
We paid an extra £5.
And yeah. We are a marketing person's dream. Um, but especially, yeah, we like a good book, and that's kind of where it is. That's what we do.
Yeah, we do need to start up our book club again. Maybe we can start a book club
Yes.
on here as well.
That would be really cute,
That
definitely. And
would
I
be
think,
fun.
especially I think we're going to try to each episode talk about if there are any new releases kind of that's been announced that we're looking forward to, so that you guys can kind of read along with us. All that.
Yes. And maybe it's also worth mentioning here now that we'd want to do some like collaboration episodes with like guests. So if there was any other creators that anybody else wanted to hear from, um, we would love to talk about them or like
Yeah.
get them on as well.
Send
I
us a
know.
message. We've got an Instagram which is at YABasic Podcast.
Yes.
So you can fire us a message there if there's anyone you want us to kind of collaborate with.
Yeah, maybe not too famous because obviously we aren't very well known. But
Yet.
if there's any creators or like if there's any even cosplayers that you know through like YA like book cosplayers that you would like us to talk with or like we can discuss maybe we could have like an episode where we talk about like our favorite book cosplayers and book cosplay
Yeah,
players that we'd
definitely.
like to see and we'd like to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's because it's a growing community, and it's something that's really fun and inspiring, and a new way to kind of appreciate books, which we're always here for.
But yeah,
Okay, is there anything else? I think that's pretty much it. I think we've waffled on about books for a good amount of time.
we should do an exit bit.
Yes, we should. So if you want to find me, my Instagram and every handle is at Dame Deadly, and then obviously your basic podcast.
And my Instagram is at Gathering Storm Cosplay, and also at Your Basic Podcast on Instagram.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you and kind of just let us know what you think and what else you'd like to hear us discuss, because we definitely love to discuss things.
Yeah, every month we are here to talk about everything and anything YA fantasy related. Yes, until next time.
Bye.
Bye.